All right. Says we got one person in, 3 likes already. See how things are going here. Can everybody hear me? If anybody's even there. Let's see. Well, the microphone thing jumped down here, so that should be working. See what happens here. Oh, that's weird. All right. Well, if anybody's out there, go ahead and pop in the chat and see what's going on. See what see how things are rolling. See you all's here. Dang it, I did this. Hey, cool hands in. All right. Not a lot. Just felt like doing a late night chat because I was bored and got nothing better to do. Actually, I got a bunch of holsters I brought over. I'm going to see if I can stitch a bunch of them here tonight. But I thought I'd do a little bit of a chat here, a little late night chat. Well, we're up to 4 on the counter. Although the one says there's only 2. So I don't know. Oh, there it is. All right. So, yeah, we'll get a few. I don't expect to get a whole lot of people tonight because it's a late night one. But anyway, and for anybody that jumps in after the fact, yeah, we're just not doing a real big thing tonight. Just thought I'd come on here and do a little chat and see what everybody was up to. And just remind everybody, too, 1 week, well, into this week, this coming Saturday, we've got Tales of the Trail. Oop, we're up 7. Tales of the Trail is coming up, which this one's going to be on the Scouts. And this is not going to be all the Scouts. This is going to be the Scouts I know about. So the Scouts out of Fort Laramie, especially during the Great Sioux War, and a few of the ones that were around before that. Talk a little bit about some of the Scouts I know about down here in Colorado. If I can get the Comanche Jack Stilwell book read. I got some other books here, but between doing holsters and doing family stuff, and I just don't have a lot of time to read. Cool Hand says, "Are you still stitching by hand these days?" Yep, I do most of that by hand, just because it looks so much nicer. It's like when you do a machine stitch, you got one side looks good, the other side doesn't look as good, and the nice thing about the hand stitching on these is like I want them to look good on both sides. So I still do a lot of hand stitching. And the sewing machine that I want to get that would look good both ways is a $10,000 machine, Campbell and Randall. So I'm not going to get one of those. But no, if I used to get a machine, that's when I would start offering belts with cartridge loops and probably offer a few other things. I wished I had one for doing these pistol caddies because I'm going to be doing those by hand, and they're a pain in the butt, especially when I get to sewing those zippers in by hand. Anyway, yeah, I think that's part of the reason why my shoulders wore out. I got problems with my shoulder. My fingers lock up on me. By the time I get all these holsters stitched, I probably won't be able to bend my fingers very much. So I'm trying to get everything done this week, so I can try to take off next Monday or Tuesday and head north to Wyoming if the weather cooperates. And if I can get everything stitched, I'm going to try to go fishing with my dad on Wednesday. because it's going to be about the only day this week we can do it. It's going to be the last chance I get to go. And being I spent $60 on a fishing license for Colorado, should probably get my use out of it. But anyway, Louisiana Gray's in. Alex Bleed says I got a 1851 Colt. Awesome. I love the 1851 Navy. It's so fun. It is absolutely fun. The 36 caliber, I always kind of like, they're not that potent, but actually 36 caliber, it's potent enough, and low recoil, doesn't take a lot of powder or primers or lead, and it's a fun one to shoot. And that's the one I always tell people, if you want to get started in this, go with a 51 Navy, because that one's the fun one. All right. So anyways, and for the people that come in and watch this after the fact, because like I said, I don't expect to get a lot of people on here tonight. I did down in the description box, share an Amazon wish list, which is a book list. And so I got to thinking about it. And it's like some of these books that I'd be buying and using are going to be for Tales of the Trails. And so I thought, well, if folks want to help out, and I'm not saying go over there and buy a book. I'm not going to beg, please. If you want to do it, you'll have my utmost thanks, and we'll add that to the library and try to use those materials and use that on Tales of the Trails. And by no means don't go buy the brand new, fresh printed, expensive versions. If you want to contribute, I am perfectly happy with a cheap used copy. In fact, 90%, I'd even go to ventures, 95% of the books I have are all used. I never hardly ever buy a book new. Some of the ones I have bought new have been when I go to places like, up at Fort Laramie. I've bought several books up at Fort Laramie, and I bought those new. And when I do that, usually if I buy them at a place, I'll get the cancellation stamp, especially if I'm in a national park. I'll get the cancellation stamps showing where I was at the day I was there and where I bought it. So if you want to contribute, like I said, feel free. The wish list is there. Don't send me the most expensive one. Just send me a cheaper one. But if you don't want to, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Let's see. Snappers in. Sucks when you work on something that's painful. Have you ever seen one of those cheaper leather sewing machines to make much more? I've looked at those, and the sewing machines, especially the cheaper ones, they don't look good on the back. Now, a Cobra Class 4, that's one that I want to get. And so if I'm doing like bags, saddle bags, if I'm doing some leather holster stuff, I'd use it on that. But some of these, they look better. They look a heck of a lot better from with a hand sewn. But it's just one of those things getting old. But I got to go as soon as I get health insurance. When I get back to work, I got to go to the doctor and see about this shoulder. And I kind of know what I can do and what I can't do. I can tool for about 2 or 3 hours, and then I got to quit. If I push it more than that, it really gets to bother me. And it's not the tabbing, it's holding my arm like this for that extended period of time, because then it doesn't want to come down. It kind of locks up. Cutting leather is the absolute worst. So stitching is just in my fingers, and that's because my fingers are getting to where they're getting. I don't know if they're getting arthritis in them, but my fingers get to where they kind of lock up and they don't want to do anything, and that's the way my fingers have been for a long time. I used to braid when I was younger. Whenever we needed a rope or something, when we was helping take care of a friend's cows and stuff, we needed like a quick pigging string. I'd go get the twine that we cut off the hay bales, and I'd sit there and I'd braid a quick pigging string. And I tell you what, after 10 minutes of braiding, I couldn't straighten my fingers. It's like when I do that stitching, they get sore. But the thing on my shoulder is like the pulling through. If I try to pull too far and go out like this, like right now, it's not bad. But after I do that for 2-3 hours, it really starts to hurt in there. And but absolutely, the absolute worst is cutting, I noticed. Because when I'm cutting, I've got resistance and I'm pulling back, and that really, really makes it hurt right in there. In fact, it's right there, whatever it is. It's not the rotator cuff, because I can do this. I can move it around. I can go up. It's just that I cannot go with any weight. I can't go up. I can't push down with any weight. And then it starts popping and jumping all over the place. So somebody told me that I've either got a bone spur in there or there's a little tendon ligament thing that kind of holds things together, and it's probably torn or messed up. But I'll know when I finally get to the doctor. I did talk to a doctor once about it, and they thought maybe it might have been the bone spur because I got a bone spur. I don't know if you can hear that, but I got a bone spur in my wrist, and I've had that since I was in high school, and it don't bother me because most of the time I don't move my wrist around, but if I do it down far enough, it catches and clicks, and it hurts, but not like constant pain. It just hurts when it snaps. Just a real quick little, like somebody sitting there picking on it. Hey, Jacobson. Yahtzee, yeah. Yeah, Louisiana. And this shoulder, I've always had some form of problem with it. You know, when I was in high school, I used to volunteer at the Forest Service, and we did a lot of excavation of fossil sites. So I was volunteering with a paleontologist there, and spent a lot of time down in the dirt leaning on this shoulder, and it would throw a fit then. And then in college, got to throwing a fit when I was doing a little bit of weightlifting. And then I was working up on the ranch after I got out of college, and I fell out of the tractor and caught that arm, and holy shit, that hurt. Sorry, Mama Woods, I just said a bad word, I know. But anyway, yeah. But it popped and snapped every so often, but it wasn't that bad. And then this past summer, I was doing some stuff, you know, up at the fort, and I went to lift. What really set it off was the day I went to lift a log. And so what had happened is we have a limber for the cannon, so the part that carries the ammunition. And the tongue always sits down in the dirt. It's driven me nuts since I got up there because it sits down in the dirt and it rots. And that is not a cheap piece of equipment. And it just absolutely drives me nuts when, you know, things like that get left in that condition. And so I kept saying for, you know, the first year is there, we need to get something put under that tongue, and nobody do anything. Well, they finally had a limb on a cottonwood tree that was rotten. I was afraid it was going to fall off and break and collapse. And so they went and cut the limb off, and I asked them, it had a real nice straight section. I asked them to cut me off one about 2 or 3 feet long to go put under the tongue of that wagon. And they did. And they left it standing there. And I went to go out there to move it. And when I'd worked down at Bent's, throwing around a 3-foot cottonwood log that big around was nothing. You just pick it up with one arm and throw it up over my shoulder, and I carry it around. No problem whatsoever. So I thought, okay, I'll go do that with this one. I went over there, I grabbed that sucker, and I threw it up on my shoulder, and I thought, what did I do? I forgot that dry wood and fresh cut wood have quite a bit of difference in weight. So yeah, that log that I expected to be about 30 pounds was actually closer to 130 pounds. But I got it out there, and my shoulder did not like me. And then, yeah, I screwed up, and I tried doing that with a teepee, a 24-foot teepee that was in a bag, and I carried it on that shoulder, and that probably didn't help things either. But yeah, after that one, I started noticing it, and then we were working on polishing some cannon tubes and the mountain howitzer tubes, and I thought they were 120 pounds. And I can lift as long as I don't bend my elbows. I can get down, squat, get a hold, and I can easily lift 120 pounds. So I got on there, and it's like, well, we got to turn these barrels over so we can do the bottoms. It's like, I'm not going to, you know, lift it real high. I just need to lift it high enough that I can turn it upside down. I got that thing up, and then I realized, no, it's not 120. They're 240 pounds. So that didn't help things. But anyway, so yeah, it still throws a fit. But I'm going to try to get it fixed this summer, because if I don't, it's not something I'm going to put off. I kind of need my arm. So that's why it's like I'm trying to get these holsters done. I got a bunch of orders for another batch. So I'm going to try to get that batch done before I set it up to have worked on if it has to be operated on. And then, yeah, don't want it to get any worse than what it is. But other than that, and then the other thing is like I want to get through, if I get to doing turkey hunting, I want to get through turkey season, try to do some shooting. And one thing I've noticed, shooting doesn't bother it. And the other thing I've noticed too is like if I put pressure in here, it's funny is I cannot lift much more than about 10 pounds and lift it to the front of me without it really hurting. But I get in here and I just do that, and I can lift 50 pounds. I can lift 50 pounds, not a problem. So I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's funny. I just put my finger in there and all the problems are gone. So it could be a torn ligament. I don't know. Let's see. Oh shit, Snapper. I didn't know you had to walk with a cane. Sorry, I cursed again. This is the uncensored version. Dang. Yeah. I've got my right hip. I have problems with that ever so often. And that one's a ligament. I know what that one is because I had a little accident one time on a horse. But yeah, it's like it doesn't bother me now as much unless I go out hiking somewhere and if I've got heavy boots on. All of a sudden, it's just like I can't lift that leg forward. I can bend my knee. Of course, my knee's not that good on that side either, but I cannot move that leg forward at all. It just locks up. Let's see. Yeah, Lizzie. I'll never forget. So on that one too, I was up on the ranch on your. We was loading railroad ties, and these are whatever they are, 8-10 foot railroad ties. They're fur ties, and I went over one day and I picked one up, and I was like, "Oh, these are really light." So I was getting under them, putting them on my shoulder, picking them up, carrying them over to the truck because this was before we had the forklift and the telehandler, and it wasn't that bad. I could easily carry those fur poles everywhere. And then the boss bought a bunk of oak railroad ties by accident. And so they were buried. They was the first ones that come off the truck when it was unloaded. I got a hold of one of those oak ones. I went to pick that son of a gun up. I was like, oh man, this is a little bit heavier. And I got it on my shoulder, went to pull down. Wow, that was really heavy. I didn't load that one by myself. I had to have some help with that one. But talk about a difference of night and day. Like, yeah, I was just throwing those fur ties around like nothing. And then that oak tie is like, holy cow. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, this is just kind of a nothing's chat. I was thinking about starting to stitch here a little bit, but I got to go find my sewing implements. I put them in my saddlebag and then I left it in the front room here. But yeah, try to get all this stuff done. And if you've got a holster order with me, I'm either working on it or it's going to be on the next batch. So if it's been an order you've placed very recently, figure it's going to be on the next batch. But well, Snapper, you could always go to a peg leg and we could call you Peg Leg Smith. Cool hand. Have you ever used antique gel on your holsters? No, but I did use it on a couple projects, and I didn't bring either one of them with me tonight. So I'm working on a jewelry box because I wanted to start trying to diversify and add things to my options, and so far nobody's taken me up on them. But anyway, so I tooled that one, and I bought some dark brown. I think it was dark brown antique gel. and put on there, and I screwed up and I let it sit for 30 minutes. And when I got to it, it was dry. So I wetted a rag to take it off, and then I took off too much, but it looks good. I mean, it looks good no matter. And then I was tooling a pistol caddy, and I got carried away with a neat's foot oil, and it turned the darkest russet color I've ever seen. It's like, holy Moses, that was the most beautiful shade of brown. Well, in fact, I can, because I got carried away on this one too. So it's like, I have never gotten a holster to turn this dark with just neat's foot oil before. And yeah, that pistol caddy got it on there. And I thought, well, you know, if I take that dark brown antique gel, this will just be a dark colored thing, and it'll look good. The problem is I forgot to put the tan coat, the resist layer on. So I was going to put tan coat on it instead of Resolene, because Resolene I've got is kind of a gloss. I didn't want to gloss this one. So I forgot to put that on there, and I put the antique gel on it. And now that thing is really dark. So, yeah, if you're going to use that gel, make sure you put a resist coat on, either tan coat or Resolene. Otherwise, it is going to stain that leather dark, which kind of takes away, you know, the color contrast. Let's see. Coolant says, I'm trying to figure out what color to use on saddle tan dyed leather. So for saddle tan, dark brown is really, especially if it's tooled, is really going to make that tooling pop out. But like I said, put resistol or not resistol, put Resolene or tan coat on there. And the thing about Resolene is it's kind of like an acrylic clear coat paint. I put it on with a dauber. And that's something that really should be put on with an airbrush, and I don't mess with it because that would be something else I'd have to clean the airbrush, so I'd have to buy another airbrush, because the one I use for leather dye, I just clean it with alcohol. But anyway, you can do it and get it to where it doesn't come out tacky, but I've noticed that sometimes when I do it, if you get it on too heavy, it'll start having little bubbles, and then those bubbles will dry in there. So I try to put on a light coat, but when you go over tooled stuff, it gets air bubbles like crazy. So usually what I do is after I go over it, I'll put a heavier coat, and then I just take a paper towel and just wipe it down real quick, just to kind of take those bubbles out. But anyway, tan coat I've not messed with yet. I've got some, I just need to use it. But I know that's what the big guys, the big shots use. So anyway, I forget who ordered this holster, but it's a triple loop Schofield. And if you ever order one of these, the Schofield will work with the Colt and the Schofield. The one for the Colt just works for the Colt. But the way you can tell that this one is not dyed and it's just oil dark is when I squeeze it, it gets light. And this camera, I apologize, this camera is like 15 years old, so it's not that great. But yeah, when you squeeze it, it lightens up. And so that's how you can tell when they're dyed or not. But I got to get a hold of the guy that ordered this and say, hey, this came out a lot darker because I got a little too much oil on it. Do you still want me to dye it dark brown? Because right now it's pretty dark. It's pretty beautiful, actually. I really like this. And my rifle scabbard that I made, that one I oiled. After I seen this one turn out dark, it's like, oh, I like that. So my rifle scabbard, I got really dark too. Problem is when I folded it over to sew it, it turned light. Squeezed the oil out. But anyway, usually, yeah, it's like usually on a russet color with dye, and this one I kind of Dalmatianed it. But I mean, there's not a lot of difference between the two. The problem is, though, this one's got enough oil in it that if you set it on anything, it's going to stain it. That oil it's got a high enough oil content, it will leach out. And then, yeah, the other thing I've been doing too is I've made Vinegaroon or vinegar black, which is a natural leather dye. It's vinegar with steel wool dissolved in it. And this holster is actually going to be going out to Dustin Weiniger here pretty quick. I need to get a hold of him this week and let him know I'm working on it. But Yeah, vinegar black. What's funny is when you first put it on there and it dries, this is actually kind of like a midnight blue, a grayish blue, um, grayish black blue. As soon as you hit it with neat's foot oil, it just turns black as night, absolutely black as night. Um, and this is applied with a wool dauber. Now I've got two parts of a military style saddlebag over at my uncle's that I dip dyed, and they are jet black. Holy Moses. But I didn't want to dip dye these because even though that vinegar stopped dissolving the iron, which means the acidity was way low, I threw some baking soda in it and it still bubbles. So there is some acidity to it. And I don't want that going on the gun. So um, I did not. I did not dip dye this one. I did go over it with a little bit of water and baking soda to try to neutralize that, and then I oiled the heck out of it, so it should never cause an issue. But yeah, that I wouldn't dip dye one that I'm going to make holstered unless I was going to line it with another leather. All right. Yeah, snapper, it's a really pretty brown with that. But then, like I said, it leaks oil because I got too carried away that day. It was the sun was coming through really hot in the window, and it was like I just kept putting it on until it was puddling up and staying puddled. And I probably put about 2 coats too many on it. And what's funny is the pistol caddy that took that, Bings, I tooled it. It didn't take it near as much to oil it. I did 1 layer on it, and it was too much. Absolutely too much. So it's like, crap. So the next pistol caddy, the second one that I'm in the process of tooling right now, that I got to get that done this week too. I'm going to try to go quite a bit lighter on the tooling or on the oil, because that one I wanted to be kind of saddle tan-ish. But this freaking Herman oak that I've got is so dry, it's got to have oil or it just cracks and will not bend. And the thing of it is, I ordered 8 to 9 ounces what I ordered. And this one was marked 8 to 9 ounce. And I cut a holster out of the middle. In fact, it's that Schofield holster I was just showing. And it was 12 ounces in the middle. I couldn't believe it. It was not that great of a hide. So kind of leery to order another one right now because the place I ordered it from is low on stock. So I think these are the kind of the remnants that people haven't handpicked over. But yeah, I may try to order a little bit higher dollar one, but I don't know. Thing was, I ordered one of the higher dollar ones one time, and it wasn't any better than the cheaper one that I ordered. But I do like the Herman oak. It's just that Herman oak is more finicky. But tooling wise, man, this stuff is beautiful. Of course, the jewelry box I made is cheap Tandy leather, and I tooled it. It's beautiful too. But the Herman oak, you can definitely tell the difference. It's got a crisper look once you do it. And when it's said and done, it makes a better looking holster, but it's finicky. You got to oil it. You got to. Well, basically, I had to change my procedure around because it used to be that I'd wait till I got a holster put together before I put the oil to it because it absorbs oil better when you bend it because the pores open up. Well, this Herman oak, you got to oil it before you can even try to bend it. So it's like I do all the oiling and dyeing before I ever stitch it together. All right. Yeah, not too many comments. Of course, I didn't expect it because it's so late. So, anyways, yeah, just a reminder. Yeah, we are going to be on Tales of the Trail this weekend. I think it's once again just going to be on this channel. I don't think we're going to split it between me and Levin Bang Bang, but Garrett will be on. Garrett's kind of the second in command, if you will, kind of the moderator on things. Yeah, and the way he can set it up, he can watch the chat and I can talk, and it's working pretty good that way. But yeah, we'll be on at 7:30 on Saturday the 8th, 7:30 Mountain Time, 8:30 Central. And I'm pretty sure we're pretty set that the topic's going to be the Scouts on the Northern Plains. And so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit going on there. And after that, I don't know when the next Tales of the Trails is going to be because I'm going to be moving back to Wyoming. Probably going to be helping my friend pack so she can move to Iowa. And going to be some turkey hunt going on. And I'm pretty certain I've got Saturdays off for the first 3 or 4 weeks that I'm there. Then after that, I'm going to go, we'll be working on weekends. So we'll have to change it to whatever my days are off. But yeah, Cool Hand, don't worry about it. Yeah, that's a nice thing about the way this is recorded is you can watch it tomorrow. So anyway, yeah. So I'm not sure when the next one will be, but we will do it again. And yeah, once I get up there and get settled and kind of get things going, I'll know for sure. But yeah, my friend's taking off 1st of May, which gives me about 3 weeks. Well, less than that. I'll have 2 weeks to do stuff with her before she takes off. So then after that, I'll have more time to do other stuff. But yeah, so if you, like I said, if you got a holster order with me, I'm working on it. I've got some here that have got priority that I need to get done tonight. And yeah, actually, I need to set some rivets on a couple of them. But anyway, and if you want to place an order with me, go ahead. I just don't know when I'm going to be starting that order. I'm thinking now I could probably start working on them in May. I was thinking it was going to be June, but May's my friend's taking off early May. I can probably do them in May, get started there. And hopefully I can get them done in a reasonable time. Also, it's going to depend on where I'm living at too, if I'm going to be able to make that work, which that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I'm going to try to get everything done here before I take off, and then should have enough to buy leather. Let's see. JB says, out of curiosity, what kinds of materials were used historically to line holsters? Deer skin, goat skin, calf skin. You see a lot of deer skin, brain tan deer skin listed in garment goat skin as well. And I bought some goat skins to try to line holsters. The thing of it is, the pictures they show you online and what you actually get don't always equal out. So I ordered this one that I thought was kind of a creamy white, and it came in. It's actually silver colored. And I wind up I use it more often to line a holster than I do the other ones because it's not terrible in color. The one that I ordered that looked brown was actually gold. And then the dark brown I ordered was a chocolate brown that just looks goofy as heck. It looks like a milk chocolate bar. I have not used that to line anything except for I think I lined a couple of coasters with it. That's it. So, and they're chrome tan. But I tried those because they were the cheaper option. And really, they're nice. They're supple. But they're not what I exactly was looking for. I made one of the ones I carry, I used German tan deerskin, and that German tan deerskin is a little bit rough, but that one does all right. I've used chrome tan deerskin. The big problem with chrome tan deerskin is it's expensive. So the one that I made for the guy and sold to him, that was a scrap piece that I had laying around. So if I was to start lining holsters with that, the price on them is going to go up quite a bit. Probably figure, at least $20, $30 to line it with deerskin. Yeah. But yeah, anything, thin leather was used to line holsters. And so I try to use the thinner leathers. If you want it lined with veg tan, I don't currently do it because I use 8 to 9 ounce. So that means I'd have to line it with like 1 to 2 ounce. And that thin of stuff is not fun to play with. It is so thin. The other reason I don't like, I don't mind lining the Slim Jim holsters. But like a loop holster, those things are kind of a pain. I've actually got one I got to go do. I've got a Bohannon holster that a guy won't lined, and I've had the holster cut for a long time. I just need to go get it lined. But it's kind of a pain getting everything to line up on that skirt, because wherever you got an edge, you have to stitch it. It has to be stitched all the way. You cannot leave, like this one I'm doing here for Destin. It's like on this one, there'll be no stitching around this part. Now, if I was to line that, every edge would have to have a stitch run around it. So it increases my stitch time. So I don't like doing those. And quite often, I don't even do the skirts. I just go about halfway down the skirt, and that's historically accurate as well. But yeah, anything thin, thin and supple was often used. Because to be honest with you, this Herman oak, well, this particular Herman oak is so shiny and smooth on the inside that I don't think it would scrape up a gun. But some of that stuff is like sandpaper. That's why I tell people to don't keep your gun in it for a long time. Just use it when you go out and mess around. Let's see. Louisiana Grace says, "What's a basic California cross drug go for, Duke?" I raised it. It used to be 65. I think I've been telling people 70 now, but I think yesterday I screwed up and quoted a guy at 75. But depending on what I have to do to order leather and if the price goes up, they may go up to 75. I'm trying to keep it to where my prices are under 100 for everything. And if you're ordering just a basic one, you're still gonna be able to get it for under $100. If you want lining, probably figure 120-ish. If you want tooling, I'll do basket weave. I can basket weave the holster for an extra 30. I usually do a border stamp for an extra 15. And so it depends on what you want. I got a spotted holster that the guy ordered, and I told him 120 on. And he was supposed to have paid me a month ago. Still haven't seen that one. So if anybody's wanting a spotted holster, that one, and it's lined, that one may be going up on eBay here pretty quick. But if it goes up on eBay, it's going to go up probably 150, just because it takes, eBay gets their cut. Let's see here. Yeah, Louisiana Gray. So for 61 Navy, I've actually got several options for the Slim Jims for those. And the body style is pretty much all the same. It's the throat profile of it. So I got one that's like a Hickok, where it's got the trigger guard cut out, and then it comes way back over in a big skirt. And I don't have one handy because I sold all those. I didn't keep any of them for myself. But anyway, so it's modeled after Wild Bill Hickok's 51 Navy holster. I've got another one that has no cutout for the trigger guard. It does have a cutout up on top to accommodate the hammer. So that's what you call a single recurve throat. The Hickok one is a deep triple recurve throat because it's got the trigger guard cut on both sides and then a slot for the hammer. And then I've got one that's kind of a semi recurve throat that doesn't go. It's like the one that's not open on the trigger, just has a slight cut in that area. And then, of course, I've got the half flap, and the half flap is basically that one with the no cutout for the trigger guard, the single recurve throat, but with a half flap strap on it. Yeah, I got quite a few options for the Colts. I'm trying to get those same options for the Remingtons, but to be honest, I don't get a lot of orders for Remington revolvers, to be honest. And when I do, usually they want the half flap. Let's see. Serpent says sheaths for knives. Yes, I do. And it's usually one of those things that if you live close enough by that you can bring me the knife, that's the people I make sheaths for. Because I don't want to have to deal with people sending me their grandpa's knife and then it get lost in the mail and then I feel terrible for the rest of my life about it. But what I found out, I found a way that I can kind of get away with that. So what you can do is if you want a sheath bad enough, you send me a picture of the knife, and then you take and what I'll have you do is take like a cereal box or something, kind of a cardboard poster board, lay that board up flush to the guard of the knife. That way I get the full profile of the blade, and then trace the blade out. use a pencil. Don't use a ballpoint. Well, you can use a ballpoint pen, but recommend you not because that's metal on metal. But anyway, trace out the blade, and then send me that piece of poster board with that blade trace out, and from that I can make the sheath. It's just that if it's got a real thick finger guard on it, and depending on the style of belt loop you want for it, you may have to do a little bit of the wet molding stuff on your end. But I can do the rest of it on my end. But yeah, I was thinking about if people wanted to send me their knives, I'd have to probably do something where, yeah, there was an agreement that if it got lost in the mail, I wasn't held responsible, and then, you know, you make sure you insure it when you send it to me. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing that. One of the other viewers on here, I gotta make him a knife sheath. I think I'm gonna do it when I get back up to Fort Laramie because he'll live a little closer, because he's got a really nice knife, and he's got some beautiful studs to put on it. Basically, he's gonna have me make him a Geronimo style knife sheath, and that was gonna be a fun project to work on. Let's see, Louisiana Gray, particularly 61 Navy. Yeah, so anything, like I said, I got on those Slim Jims a fit. I'm working on trying to start doing Civil War era military full flaps. I've got to modify some of the patterns I got here, because I tried to mesh two different patterns that I had off of two old junk holsters, and the patterns are not meshing. So I've got to, because making the holster body, that's easy. I can figure that out right quick. Trying to get that full flap around over and get it to where it lines up where it needs to be to full cut, that is the biggest pain in my backside. I've only done it once successfully the first time, and that was with my full flap Walker model, and I still to this day don't know how I pulled it off. But it could be a little bit bigger on the flap. But yeah, I just sit down one day and it's like, I want to make a full flap for this. How do I go about it? And it's like, and I was sitting there and I had my cereal bowl. I hadn't poured my cereal yet. And I thought, that looks about like what it should be for a flap. And I laid it down on the table and I drew it out. Worked perfect. Then I tried to do that for the for my 1860 Army. Yeah, no, that was a pain. Let's say Johnny Reb, I would trade you 18 billion round a long Colt for a glass of Coke. Yeah, I need to go finish out filming those here. I might do that tomorrow night or sometime. But yeah, I got to do 2 more episodes for season 1, and then figure out what I'm going to do for season 2, because I think I'll do season 2 later in the summer. But Louisiana Great. Yeah, I do all my orders through the email, which is the channel name at gmail.com. So I'll throw it in here at in the chat. And when you send me an email, I can send you some pictures too if I still have them. It's the thing. People ask me for pictures, and I know I've taken a picture of the holster that they want, and then I go looking at my phone and realize, oh crap, that was on the old phone, and it didn't transfer over because this phone doesn't take a freaking little SD card. Yeah, there's my email address. I just typed into the chat there. That's where you can get a hold of me and we'll figure it out. But like I said, next batch is going to be May at the earliest, and I'm thinking more towards June, but I might be able to pull it off. We'll figure it out. Snapper. You sure that's leather, or is it pleather? Leather with cloth in it. Because that's what upholstery leather is. It's pleather. They shave the very top grain of the leather off, glue it to fabric, and I've got a bunch of that. And it's strong, but I don't like it. Yeah, Louisiana. Yeah, figure out which one you want, and we can work that out. I got 2 styles of belt loops, but the one I prefer is the flat profile belt loop, because it's easier to sew on. But the one that I made, the spotted holster I made for this guy, he specifically said he was going to use it in cowboy action shooting. Hey, Diane. Said he's going to use it in cowboy action shooting. So I put the fold over style, because the fold over style, it kicks it out away from the body just a little bit more, which is why I don't really care for that fold over style. Because I noticed when I was carrying the one holster that I used to wear with it, my gun was always sticking out and catching on things. So I decided that I swapped mine out, went to the flat profile, which keeps it closer to my body and it's easy to grab. But the nice thing of that flat profile style is if you buy a cross draw, right hand cross draw, you can put it as a right hand straight up, because I cut it for a 3-inch belt. And if you've got like a 2-inch belt, works perfect. It'll stay almost straight most of the time. Sometimes it likes to kick back, but yeah, it can be worn cross draw or strong side. But yeah, and the flat profile is historically accurate. I've seen several pictures of it with of that on holsters. The fold over is pretty common too. I've seen that a lot. But yeah, almost everybody that buys a Slim Jim, they always buy them in a cross draw. And it's like there's a couple pictures I've seen with those with a straight draw, and I think I've only sold 1 or 2 straight draw Slim Jims. But actually, I got an order for a straight draw Gus, and I got to go find my pattern for my straight draw belt loop, because I haven't had to use it in so long. I don't know where it's at. Let's see. Yeah, Louisiana. Yeah, like I was saying, the cross draw. I really like mine in cross draw. And the other thing with that flat profile belt loop too is, man, that thing kicks it out to where that gun it just works out perfect. So yeah, I really like it carrying mine cross. Thing of it is I noticed that when I started carrying it cross draw on the left side, I could do the cavalry draw a lot easier. So I'm going to be making myself another one on a right side cross. Because like, yeah, trying to reach across my fat belly, can't really grab the gun. By the time I get it to where I can grab it, it's sitting right here in front. So I noticed, yeah, if I'm carrying it on my side where I normally carry a strong side draw, I wind up doing the cavalry style. So I need to make me a different holster. Yeah, snapper. It's got to be a pleather. It's got to be a combo, because straight leather by itself, it's incredibly strong, but does not those thinner leathers for upholstery don't hold up as long. Because when you split it down thin enough for it to be upholstery, you're splitting out the part of the hide that has the strength, which is where all the fibers are. And you're just going with the epidermis, which has no fiber strength to it, and it tears really easy. But I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. But yeah, if you figure out what it is, let me know, and I'll look into it. Unless it's Italian. If it's Italian tan leather, that crap is too expensive for me to be lining holsters with. But yeah, I know. The heck was it? I bought some, or my grandmother had some, what we thought was real leather, and we got to looking at it. No, it was it was real leather on the surface. It was a, like I said, it's pleather. It's the leather stop glued onto real strong fabric, and that's like 90% of your upholstery stuff. And that stuff can get expensive. It can get really expensive. But like I said, Italian leather can be expensive too. And I'm going to look here while I'm on the chat. Kind of look and see what the price of leather is, because I ordered from Springfield Leather, and usually they do me pretty good. Although the last one I wasn't real impressed with. Herman Oak. And buying the sides is about the cheapest way to go. Oh, hey, they got the AB branded Herman Oak sides back in. That may be what I buy next time. It's a little bit more expensive, but at least it's higher quality just with a brand on it. Where is the... Let's see. So, yeah, so a regular B grade tooling side, which B grade is, just below AA is like the best. A side is going for $264. And so the AB branded ones are going for $236. And that may be what I wind up buying on the next batch. That way I don't have to up my prices too much. But, oh, yeah, that's why I got the crappy one. They're out of stock on the ones. So usually what I buy is the Craftsman tooling side. And the reason why I've been going with them is I bought a Craftsman tooling side. And I got it in, and it wasn't that great a condition. It had some issues, and then I bought a Craftsman after that because I didn't want to spend. And I was like, the Craftsman came in was better than the higher dollar one that I bought. So I started buying the Craftsman grade, and I was doing pretty good. But the last couple ones I bought just weren't that good. This last one was the worst, and after looking on here and seeing that they're out of stock on that one, that tells me why I had the bottom and last of the pick. That's the thing about ordering online is you're buying from the same sales floor as what people are going into the store are buying. Well, people go into the store can handpick what they want. I got to get whoever they grab off the shelf for me. So, yeah, considering that's out of stock, that's probably why I got a junk one on the last one, is I got the last of the lot. But they do have the AB branded sides in for $236, so I shouldn't have to up my price too much. And half the time the Craftsman's come in with a big brand on them anyway, so it's not like I'm losing. It's not that big a difference. And hopefully these don't come in with the white stains down the sides like I've been getting. But yeah, out of a hide, the average is anywhere from 22 to 25 square feet. And I probably use 20 to 22 square feet, depending on the size of the hide. So I lose about that much all the way around the bottom up through the neck, is that much of the hide. Because that bottom part of that hide is the crap into the leather, around the belly and stuff. The top end, that's the one like down the middle of the back. I get a lot of good out of them. So I lose a little money on that. But thing it is, that section that I lose, I wind up using for toe plugs. Some of the better quality chunks of that I wind up using for belt loops. Because it's not like that whole section's bad. It's just that I can't get a holster out of that section and get any thing that's all good. So yeah, it's like try to make toe plugs, try to make belt loops and such. Tried to make coasters out of one, and I'm sitting on a bunch of coasters. Diane, you're the only one that wasn't a family member that bought the coasters. So let me see here. JB, kind of like a wooden veneer. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, Snapper says softest leather I ever felt. Yeah, it could be Italian. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. But yeah. Look, if you find out, let me know on that one. Serpent says feelings alienated yet. Oh yeah, I am so addicted to Coke. It's like I've got to quit this stuff. I've gained 10 pounds since I come home, and the only thing that's really changed is the fact that I'm drinking like a 12-pack every 2 days. So I need to cut back. But the caffeine's keeping me going, man. It's caffeine and the sugar, one of the two. Probably a combination of both. But I've always been a Coke addict. It's just that that sounded real bad. I've always been a Coca-Cola addict. But yeah, it's gotten really bad here lately. But when I was in high school, I used to drink a 12-pack of Pepsi a day. Of course, I was fat then too. And then when I cut back on that and cut back on the honey buns, man, I dropped weight like crazy. But yeah, it's like right now I guarantee I cannot get into my officer's dress uniform out there at the fort. So I got to lose it before summer comes around. Yeah. Uh, yeah, alone. I couldn't do Red Bull. That stuff, it's too much caffeine. And see, I get screwed up because my heart, I'm kind of sensitive to caffeine, and I need to cut back on this because I'm going to start getting screwed up again. But years ago, I started drinking pure leaf tea, and I'm talking like I drink one of those gallon jugs a day. And I mean, just constantly pouring it down. And my heart got to where it was palpitating, and it took 6 months before it got to where I wasn't, passing out and hitting the damn floor. So, yeah, I didn't drink caffeine for several years after that. I didn't touch it at all. Wouldn't drink coffee. If I drank a soda, it was a Sprite. I didn't eat hardly any chocolate. I just kept the caffeine completely out of my system. Of course, I was taking nicotine, but and then one day I drank a Coca-Cola, and it's like, we'll see if this caused a problem. My heart didn't palpitate. And I drank another Coca-Cola, and no problem. And then a few days later, I drank a bottle of Coke, and ever since then, it's like, yep, I've been on Coca-Cola. But yeah, I'm gonna have to cut back because if heart starts palpitating again, it's like I am not going through that crap. Of course, that pure leaf tea was like got 3 times the amount of caffeine a bottle of Coke has. But JB says I shot scotch out of my nose on that one. Yeah, these late night chats, you never know what I'm going to pop off and say. Of course, a lot of people say that they never know what I'm going to say. I once had a girl tell me that I needed to think about what I was saying before I said it, and I told her, I said, no, I want to be as surprised as everyone else by what comes out of my mouth. All right, Louisiana Gray. Yeah, we'll catch you later. And like I said, don't expect anything. Well, I won't be starting orders until May, but don't expect them much before July. If that, because last year, God, I made some people wait for almost a year because I had so much going on during the summer, and I was spending time with my friend Caroline, and we was going over and traveling places and doing stuff, and stress of work is like I just did not get much done in holster realm. But then, of course, once the season ended and I was sitting around doing nothing on cold days, it's like, yeah, I got a lot done. But I need to get motivated here and get these all done. I've got about 20 of them here I need to stitch. So I ain't going to get them all stitched tonight, but I can get about 5 of them done, I think. Provided that you don't staying here too much longer. Which I think I'm going to shut her down here in about 5 or 6 minutes. So, because we're dropped down to about 8 folks. Let's see what the concurrent rate is. Yeah, it says there's only 8 folks currently watching and about 60 views. So, we got an excellent rating. But anyway, see, Lone Dragoon said I drank nothing but Coke for summer, got severely dehydrated with kidney infection, drank nothing but water for about a year. So, yeah, that's the thing. I need to start drinking. The problem is here where I'm at, my hometown here, is like the water quality is not that good. You can make coffee and it has like an oil slick on top of it. Just pour a glass of water and sit there and hold it up to sunlight where you kind of get the shimmer off the top, and it'll have an oil slick on top of it. So yeah, that's what comes out of our lines, and it's so chlorinated that it's just miserable to drink. So I usually wind up buying bottled water, which I need to go buy some because I'm out of bottled water. But yeah, it gets kind of spendy. It's like the one thing I'm thankful for is I don't have to worry about the water bill where I'm living at because it's the water split between me and my grandmother's house. So um, grandma told me not to worry about water. But that and then my house is so old that there's a lot of iron or metal lines, and so turn on the sink and I got to let it run for 15 minutes for it to quit running rust. So yeah, right now that's all I've got to drink is Coke, and I need to go get some bottled water because to be honest with you, I prefer to drink water over Coke, but it's got to be good tasting water. All right, Snapper. Yeah, we'll catch you later. And oh, by the way, I got your. Well, no, I don't have your holster. I've got your full flap holster. I just got to get it stitched. I got all the holes and everything punched. I just need to sit down and stitch it. So, hey, Doug, don't worry about it. Yeah, we're probably gonna run here for a few more minutes, but yeah, better late than never. Like I always say, you can always watch it later on. But anyway, yeah. So just one last little thing I was going to remind because I mentioned it before a lot of people got in. I did post in the description Amazon wishlist link, which is a bunch of books, and don't feel compelled at all to go over and do anything. But if anybody wants to contribute to Tales of the Trails, I got a list of books over there. They're not in any particular order. Um, some of them I just put on there because somebody told me about them, and it's like that's a topic I thought about looking into, but it's not high on the priority list. But anyway, and if anybody does decide to buy a book, please don't buy the most expensive brand new book. Go to the used section. The used books need just as much as attention as the new books. Um, and then send it that way because there's very few new books that I have. Usually, like I said, I wind up buying a new book only if I go somewhere and see a book that I need. And that's the only time I usually buy them new. So I think the ones I've bought new were Powder River, Powder River, Rosebud, and a handful of others that are there at Fort Laramie. And yeah, I guess this one I bought new because I bought it at Ben's Fort, but they had it on sale, so I actually got it for discounted price. But yeah, the last book that I bought that was new and not used. Well, no, I can't even say that because that deadgum book that I got on the Colorado War that ticked me off, I bought that brand new. So anyway, yeah. But this one I bought January 29th this year. And the reason I know that is I bought it at Fort Larned. So yeah, if I go to the site somewhere, I'll buy a book from them. And then I usually stamp it. And their stamp wasn't set up for 2023. So I had to write that one in. But anyway, yeah, Serpent. Yeah, we'll work out on the knife sheath and get that squared away. But anyway, yeah, like I said, if anybody wants to contribute to Tales of the Trails, buy a book, feel free. The Amazon wish list is in the description. Like I said, don't feel compelled to do it. And if you do, don't feel like you got to buy a brand new one. Just you want to buy a used one and send one that's a little cheaper. Thing of it is, like used books, the price of used books, holy crud. Most of the used books that I've got on my bookshelf in here, I didn't pay more than $10. And most of them I paid more to ship than I paid for the book. And then COVID hit, and it's like the price of used books has gone through the roof. I bought a copy of January Moon. That's the one I've been reading on here lately is January Moon, which is on the Cheyenne outbreak. So the Cheyennes that, the Northern Cheyenne that were sent to Oklahoma when they took off, left, and went back up north. I got that book, and I bought it used, and it was in really good condition, but I paid almost as much as I paid for it brand new, if I remember right. And that was the cheapest used one they had. So actually, I could tell you right quick. Whoops. So right now, a brand new one of that one, because it's a hardcover, is 32. I think I paid 26. Yeah, paid 26 for it used. Of course, I don't think that one's been out that long, but yeah, I ordered a few more books in. Right now, I've got one that's out is General Crook on the Western Frontier, And then I've got Bleed, Blister, and Purge, and Doctors in Blue, because I was thinking about trying to put together a doctor's impression for up at Fort Laramie. See, Andrew, music fan, can I ask you a question? Go ahead. Let's see here. But yeah. So anyway, like I said, we're probably gonna run this here. Well, I said 5 minutes 5 minutes ago. We'll run it for an hour and 10. I'll give you 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna shut her down for the night. All right. And I think we're getting down. It says we got 10 folks watching, but got to go over. I've still got, I think I've got about 10 holsters here to sew tonight. And I've got 10 more, I think, over at my uncle's house. And Doug, I'm getting ready to put the oil on yours, and then yours will be ready to stitch up here. And I'll try to get that one out as quick as I can, because you're all squared on that one. I got 2 or 3 in here that are already squared, and I need to get them out and get them rolling. But oh, good. He wants black on that one, so I got that holster ready to go. Somebody else? Andrew says, where can I get spare parts for Army San Marcos gun? Ooh, the best place, best chance you got is VTI gun parts. And you're going to be stretching it. Because the Army San Marcos has been out of business for so long. Uberti pretty well took them over. You're going to be hard pressed to find parts. So, depending on what you got, you might be able to find another Army San Marco for parts. It's like, because I've got 2 Army San Marcos. I've got a Richards Mason conversion 51 Navy that I can't get parts for. It needs a new bolt, but I can't get parts for it. And I've got a 49 Wells Fargo model that the mainspring broke in. And yeah, I can't find parts for either one. So yeah, if you got an Army San Marco, you are kind of in trouble, depending on what parts you need. Now, if you need a trigger something, you might be able, and don't quote me on this, but you might be able to take a Uberti. The thing of it is that Uberti has even changed their parts, the dimensions on their parts. So yeah, if you got an Uberti from the 1980s, like my 62 Pocket, the modern parts don't fit it at all. So yeah, I'd say your best bet's VTI, and if you can't get parts there, yeah, you're kind of in a pickle there. Unless you can find a really, really, really good gunsmith that's also an excellent machinist. But yeah, like I said, depending on what part you need, they might be able to make another one work or make another one fit. But forgot. Well, yeah, it was on this Army San Marco that I got this 51 Navy. I put a Uberti trigger in it, and it works just fine. Because the trigger that was in it was filed to make it a faster, lighter trigger, and that trigger was scary light. Yeah, I barely feel it, and it would go off. But it wouldn't push off. But oh man, it didn't take much to trip the trigger. But anyway, all right, yeah, we're probably going to shut down here. It sounds like most people are jumping off for the night anyway. So I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. Just a reminder, we are doing Tales of the Trails this coming Saturday. So the end of the week here, the topic will be on the Scouts. We'll have Garrett on here. That will be hosted just on this channel. We're going to see if we keep getting good numbers on that. If the numbers aren't as good, we might go back to co-hosting it between here and 11 Bang Bang. But yeah, talking about the Scouts, like I said, there's a link down in the description there for the Amazon wish list on the books. You feel like sending me one, I appreciate it. Don't feel compelled to. And like I said, don't feel compelled to send me a brand new one either. Any of them, used one's perfectly fine. Especially because there's a couple on there that are like freaking $100. Anyway, yeah. So thank y'all for joining in. Y'all stay safe out there. If you got a holster ordered with me, working as fast as I can to get them out. So anyway, thank y'all for joining in. Stay tuned. Keep your powder dry. Stay safe. We'll catch you on the next one.